I got rid of it. Hang on. Here we go.
What?
There we go. It's all right. There was an intro video set up. I managed to delete it just in time.
He's here already. Here we go.
Holy moly.
Dave.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up?
What's going on? We made it happen.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much, Dave.
I'm so stoked, and I apologize. It's been like 4 weeks in a row of missing each other by this or that. But this worked out perfect today. You hear a ruckus. I've got like almost 20 people in my garage doing leg day with Camille right now. So they're be in and out getting oxygen because it's hot down here in Florida. So they come into the kitchen to be like,
amazing
stuff like that. But what's going on? How are you guys?
I want to ask, what kind of garage have you got that you can host 20 people for leg day?
Not a big enough one for sure. What we normally do is I will take the guys and Camille will take the girls, and we have 3 locations that will split them up. So we'll either take them one on the tennis court, one in the garage, or one in the driveway in front of the garage. Today, what they did is they took lawn chairs and they put them in front of the garage. So they come in to do their set, and there's like 3 cages going. So there's basically 3 stations going with, a bunch of people. And we usually, with this many people, what we'll do, and this is like, I mean, I know you guys are probably from the gym space, but I learned this from college strength and conditioning. We just set up station rotations. So it's like a conveyor belt, it's like group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4. Everyone's on their exercise or exercise superset, and they just literally rotate through the whole workout like that.
Love that. That.
That's sick.
How are you guys? Happy Sunday.
And to you, Dave. Yeah, all good. We were just talking about, before you jumped on, we were just talking about our day that we've had. Bit of variety there. The weather's a little bit warmer in the UK this week. We've had a bit of a heat wave. It's been, what was it? What did it get up to, Jon?
Your accents are too much. They're too seductive. You got to stop that. You guys got to put that away. I had such a really great podcast with the Keeping It Real bro. He's so awesome.
Grant. Yeah.
You're probably the only person to say that.
Like, such a good dude. He spoke really kindly of you guys. And so, but I don't really know much about, outside the box show and things like that. Tell me, like, how did you guys get into this? Like, how did this get started?
So
Dave's interviewing us now.
Yeah, this is great. This is
I
great.
just know what I'm walking into because they help me modulate my frequency a little bit. I don't want to come in too hard.
Oh, the harder the better, Dave, as always. So Jon, his actual name's Jon, but he's adopted the name Jon over the last 3 or 4 years
on YouTube, and it's all because of Savan, because he can't pronounce Jon. So that's why.
He can't pronounce Jon's name, so he called him Jon.
More exotic that way.
Yeah, there we go.
For sure.
So when did we start speaking?
3
years ago?
3 years ago, maybe? Yeah, about 3 years ago.
This is a 3-year conversation.
Yes, absolutely. We've been waiting 3 years for you, Dave. So Jon and I are obviously both based in the UK, and that was initially all that we had in common. That was our common theme. We were the only 2 Brits in a YouTube chat. So we kind of bonded over the fact that we were the only 2 Brits. It's like, you go on holiday and there's the only American family there, and you're like, oh, there you go. Yeah, where are you from? Oh, yeah, we're best buddies.
You're 100% right. I've been to the other side of the world, and you have all this culture to explore, right? And all these people to meet. And then you meet somebody who's like, oh, I trained at a CrossFit gym back home. And all of a sudden you're like more interested in that than like,
yeah. Exactly.
People like familiarity. And I'm sure you guys have a lot of the same perspectives and challenges, because fitness is not the same all around the world. Like you guys probably know that, having traveled, in the US, it's got one flavor. Things are, there's always different challenges, different languages, and not just the language that's spoken, but like how people do fitness, right? I mean, that's the language of fitness it's all around the world. So I'm sure you guys connect over that.
Yeah. And although, so the name, it sort of rings true here. Although we've both got like a common kind of like and knowledge around the CrossFit scene, we wanted to do something that was literally outside the box, outside CrossFit. So Jon and I are both like powerlifting and barbell specialist coaches. So within our kind of, both of us kind of got a bit of a bodybuilding background when we were younger. Jon programs a lot for some bodybuilders now. He's got a lot of connections at a gym he has. So, and again, sports that kind of link in with CrossFit. So like British rowing, I've got some connections there. And we kind of mold on the idea of the CrossFit space missing on that perspective of people from outside of the CrossFit world having this specialist knowledge that no one taps into.
I love that, man. That's kind of like my background. I feel like, you know, after 20 years in strength and conditioning and just general fitness too, you realize like it gets really tribal, you know, people, they have their camp, they have their tribe, and they know what they know, but they don't even know what they don't know. You know, they don't even know the questions that they don't know. And especially CrossFit, nothing is more true than that, because CrossFit is very much a bubble. And it's great. It's a very rich bubble with a beautiful community and a great message. But it's extremely limited because everything is kind of self-contained. So when you get coaches like you guys who actually have context and experience outside of CrossFit in high-level strength and conditioning or different aspects, you bring a treasure trove of gifts into that community that people don't even know how cool that's going to be for them if they're able to embrace it, even though it's not part of the methodology, unquote. It really is rich and prime for development. The hard thing is getting people into that mindset where they're willing to actually listen and try things to be able to grow beyond, you know, whatever the words that Greg Glassman spoke 30 years ago. You know,
Yeah. And I think, like you said, I mean, a very easy example of that is the nutrition. I mean, you were seminar staff, weren't you? I believe, and you were
dedicated seminar staff. And
so
when I came to CrossFit, I had a hard time wrapping my head around things because my background was traditional strength and conditioning. So a lot of my reactions were, you know, some of the stuff I'm like, wow, that's really cool. But a lot of the reactions were, that doesn't make sense. Like that's not good exercise physiology thinking. But it's just it's the context of it, right?
That was my intro to CrossFit. I pushed back a lot, and then in 2016, I was like, all right, no, I want to give this a shot and like just be open to it. And then my mind was opened. Like that was my kind of intro. I used to slag it off, talk shit on it all the time, and then when I finally went to an affiliate, and I was like, oh, this is what it's about. And
well, so I think that at the root of that is these principles, right? So for strength and conditioning or any high level, you know, sports specific coaches, or even in strength sport, right? You have this concept of the SAID principle, right? Specific adaptations to impose demands, which means if you want this, here are the things you need to do to be able to optimally get to that thing. CrossFit is not a SAID principle thing. It's more of like, it doesn't want you to be very good at anything. That's honestly what it is, right? So it wants you to be a generalist where you're never going to reach really elite level of strength. You're never going to really reach an elite level of aesthetics. You're never going to reach an elite level of, you know, and you're not meant to, because it's just the roundedness and also more on the general health component of it, which I think has a context. But when you come from traditional strength and conditioning, you'll immediately be like, that programming makes no sense. Like, why would you even do? What is that giving you? You know?
Yeah. And going back to the nutrition side of it, so that's one, obviously the first kind of paragraph of Fitness in 100 Words, of all the time taken out of context, all the time. What Greg meant with that is, here's the most basic blueprint that I can put down on paper for you to follow and for it to work. This isn't going to make you Superman or Superwoman. This is going to be the basic principles of what we need to start to build toward. That's it. That isn't a breakdown of everything that you need to do for peak physical health with your nutrition. It's
just to get people healthy.
Greg is not like, he's not really specialized in training or nutrition. You know, like that's the thing people don't realize. Like he's very much he's giving people the starter kit. You know what I mean? And so it's like, oh, that nutrition piece is step one for people that are kind of completely lost with regard to nutrition. That makes sense. You have somebody who's completely lost. They've been eating terrible their whole lives. Start by eating some good quality food. You know, like in some quantities that you can measure with your hand, you know, a piece of protein, or even like, you know, things like, shop around the perimeter of the grocery store. And you know this, Jan, like that'll get you improvements to a point, but it will never like get you to stage, you know, like it's just like this is the first step. I don't think people understand the layers behind that you can continue to go, like the progression that you can continue to seek if you want to continue to see results. Because like I think that all these things are great for like getting you going in the right direction, even just with the training, right? Just think about like the nature of this like constantly varied training is like take somebody who's never moved before and teach them a large variety of movements. You know, that's a great place to start. Then when they have some capacity, maybe now you start worrying about how we're going to organize this to maximize recovery and progression, or maybe give you things a bit more specific to you and your wants and needs and goals to be able to take those pieces and organize them in a more thought out fashion.
Yeah. So I don't want to go off too much on a tangent there, but have you paid any attention or given any thought to Metfix at all?
I know like nothing about it, you know, like, I honestly, I stepped away from staff in 2020, right around COVID is like, you know, I think I'm done working for HQ. And since then, I really have not been in tune. I've just been kind of next to the brand, just, you know, kind of in some ways, trying to act as a place for people to go that are looking for something else. But I could not name a games athlete right now. I have no idea. I don't even know who owns CrossFit right now. I don't know how many affiliates they are. I don't know what the course, you know, the course offerings are. I have no idea. All I know is that it was really cool to be a part of it while I was a part of it. Yes,
the glory, the golden years. For some people. So the thing that I mentioned, Metfix, is Greg's newest sort of venture away from CrossFit. It's labeled by many as the CrossFit health section that he was hoping to go down, but ended up as, you know, more seen as the sport and the actual movement side of things. I've had a look into it, and I've actually got. Do you know Carl Stedman? You probably do. Carl.
I love Carl. Oh, Carl's the best.
Yeah, so he's coming on another show that we host next on July the 1st, so in a couple of weeks' time. So he's working for Metfix's academy.
Yeah, he runs the academy.
Yeah, so he runs the academy where it's kind of teaching all the, you know, globally teaching the staff members about Metfix and the methodology and what they're prescribing. And it's all the health side of it. So it's going more into the science behind the food, behind the health options, and breaking it down to where I think you probably will find that is the next step of what Greg wanted to do towards the food and the nutrition side of it, but obviously couldn't at the time. But I was just interested to see if you hadn't, but that seen it, but that's fine.
Have you guys ever heard the phrase, when you try to be everything to everyone, you end up being nothing to no one?
Yeah.
That's Grant's motto, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, it reminded me because like when I started doing CrossFit, I don't know when you guys started, but I started in like 2007, right? And it was this very raw underground fitness movement that was very much, it kind of felt like you ever seen the movie Fight Club? Yeah. So it was like the first gym I went to was like in the basement of a church. And it was be like sweat and blood on the floor, like rusty barbells, makeshift equipment, just people going ballistic. And the whole mantra behind that is like, it was kind of like, this exercise program might kill you. You might die. Like that was really a thing. And that's what gave, I think, CrossFit so much of its notoriety initially, was that it was like considered this extreme fitness venture where you could see what you're made of. And there were all these it was developing elite fitness, right? Forging elite fitness. And you had these people around the world that would go to CrossFit.com. Most of them would do it like scale. There were a few guys where you're like, wow, this guy up in Canada did this, and this guy over here did this. I mean, even when I started doing it, I came from a strength background. Dave Castro and Tony Budding, who Tony used to run the media before he started grid league or whatever. And Dave, those, you know, they were kind of like the Greg's first two disciples. You know, there's a whole culty god complex in there too. But yeah, so they used to send me and my friend Rob the workouts in advance and be like, "Do you think you can do these at double the weight?" And so it was kind of this like there was a status to it, right? Like if you were doing CrossFit, like you had done some crazy shit, like you know, and then it started to split, and it was like, well, this is the competitive CrossFit, and this is kind of like the mainstream CrossFit, and this is going to be the health. And I think at that point, it started to kind of lose its identity in some ways, because it wasn't that one thing. It was trying to be multiple things. And I think it diluted all of it. And I know that Greg, like simultaneously when the games were getting really big, right? And this would be like in 2013, 14, right? Right when it was like, we're at ESPN and the CrossFit Games and Dave Castro and these athletes are stars, that whole games aspect really started taking off. At that same time, I think that's when Greg started talking a lot about these like health initiatives. And it didn't jive to me. It was like, these are two, like this workout can kill you and will fix your diabetes and chronic disease. I'm like, this just doesn't, it's not, it's a different message, right?
I'm really
one. So like Metfix makes more sense to me than trying to make CrossFit health. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I'm really glad you said that, because the last sort of probably, I don't know, 6 months, I've been having this back and forward around with the CrossFit kind of scene. We've had this big push away from a lot of people coming back and saying we need to support the community. It's all about the community. And with that came a push away from the sport. And now you've got people on either side of the fence. So those people that are talking about community matters, make the affiliates great again, blah, blah, blah. But from my perspective, they're the same thing. They're linear. They represent the tip of the spear for what the affiliates do. And like you said, it's just at some point over the last sort of probably 5-6 years, I'd say, pre-COVID, it did become just like that. It was sport and affiliates as separate kind of entity. And I, for whatever reason that was, whether it came through from different things, or whether it was partially because the elite athletes like Camille were so beyond what the regular affiliate members could do. And they've progressed even further since, was it 2014? Camille,
yeah. I mean, now it's like, I honestly, I don't even know, you know, I don't know any of the athletes. I don't know what they're doing, like how good they are, I have no idea. I know that what was really exciting about Camille's time was that people were doing things that had never been done before, right? So that's what was so exciting. It wasn't like, you know, now if somebody does it and you're like, well, okay, whatever, you know, but like the first time you see a girl do like 15 ring muscle ups, we're like, holy shit. It was like the Michael Jordan effect. And I think that's like, especially amongst the men, when you think about like the male athletes, you know, I put Rich, he might not have actually at his peak been the fittest CrossFit athlete there ever was, but I think he was still the greatest CrossFit athlete he ever was, because he showed people what was possible. You know, and it's like, it's that first person that breaks the 4-minute mile that shows people like, wow, you can actually do this. And I think that was what's so cool about that time, is like, we didn't really know what was possible. And even now, in some aspects, there's a lot more to explore, maybe not from like the skill side, like the Olympic skill side, but like the strength side. It's like not everyone, no one's really gotten much stronger in the traditional sense of strength as you might look at it from like powerlifting or just strength sport. They've gotten better Olympic lifting skills and better gymnastic skills, but like no one has like pushed the limits of that like physiological strength, you know?
Totally agree. SBD. So I would absolutely love at the games just a powerlifting meet, just on a Friday night. Just go SBD. Right, you're going to take it in turns, 3 attempts at each, working round. it would be awesome. And Dave, I'm sure you'll agree with this. I've been it's my 13th Open I just did. So I started CrossFit in 2011. So I've done 13 Opens. Every year I hope that bench press comes up.
Oh,
and so far it hasn't. We've had press ups one year, I think, back years ago, but we've never had bench press.
There was something where there was like bench press for reps, but I don't know what the reason is, but they never really had that traditional. I mean, the first CrossFit Games, they kind of had a CrossFit total, but I tell you, like right now, if you ran like a powerlifting total at the CrossFit Games, what you would see would not be very impressive. Like you wouldn't see anything that you couldn't see at any gym in the United States by some guy who's, bench pressing 400 and back squatting 500 or 600 and deadlifting maybe 600 to 700. Like there's a guy at every single gym in America that can do that, So, but the Olympic lifting though is like, you're not going to see guys in gyms that are like clean and jerking 400 pounds. Like that is a very unique thing.
Yeah. And on that, my father-in-law was a very good weightlifter. He lifted for Britain. He watches the games every year when he comes to my house every year around the games time. And he's massively impressed with the general level now at the games of the Olympic lifts.
Yes.
Male and female. I spoke to a 13-year-old earlier from Britain, and she can clean and jerk 75 kilos. She can jerk 85 from the blocks at the age of 13 with no...
That's like, what was it, 175 pounds?
175 pounds at the age of 13 as a female, and she could walk into any generic Globo gym and walk in and probably outlift a lot of the guys in there.
Oh, yeah.
But I think over the years...
187 from the blocks.
187 from the blocks. So over the years, we have seen this education piece, especially with weightlifting, where we understand that specialist coaches need to be brought in to educate the lifters and to get them going on that. So I think we do have that, but does that reflect what the gyms are doing? And I think that's where that disconnect is. I
think like if you look at Olympic lifting in America, I don't know what it's like in Europe. It may be the same, it may be different, but Olympic lifting in America, 2 decades ago was just like a dying sport. Like, it's like bowling, right? It's, like ESPN 8 at night, like not a lot of Olympic lifters, a very specialized, nuanced thing. I think CrossFit cracked the code for developing Olympic lifters, for getting people interested in the sport. I think, honestly, they probably developed more people interested in the sport of Olympic weightlifting than developing people interested in the sport of even CrossFit, because they're like,
it's getting huge really in the UK
I really like
now.
this lifting stuff, So like, I think that that is like, it almost was able to breathe a new life into USA weightlifting in terms like now it's enormous. Like they're making money, they have resources. The CrossFit gyms, I think they all do teach Olympic lifting, but I think part of the issue of having this affiliate model is the fact that there's no standardized curriculum of teaching. Like people, they'll learn it, they'll learn how to teach it, but like that doesn't mean that they're actually implementing it. So you might find that like some gyms develop really high levels of proficiency in just movements in general, right? Just not even specific to Olympic lifting. And some gyms you come in and they're just like, well, the coach likes to run a lot, so we do a lot of running, or the coach likes to deadlift a lot, so we do a lot of deadlifting. There's no real rhyme or a reason to it. And I think that's where the inconsistency is maybe, everything looks perfect in hindsight, right? 2020. But, it's also very hard to be a good coach. Like most coaches are not good coaches. I'd say the majority of coaches are not good coaches.
Yeah.
Good coaches are really a rarity. And I think, as like you see the attrition out of one method into another, I think you're going to kind of see like the cream rise to the top, where the gyms with really good coaches and programs are going to absorb a lot. And the gyms that don't really have something special going on are like, why am I paying $200 to do sit-ups in a garage?
Yeah, they don't get a leg day with 19 other people, do they?
Yeah,
sat on lawn chairs. That's how it's done. Mason's quote here that Jons put up.
The nuances of weightlifting for a Gem Pop member. trying to be healthier is questionable. And that's, I think, that the point that we're getting at is like the skill and time that it requires to get efficient and proficient at weightlifting is quite difficult in a 60-minute class, you know, especially for like someone that's brand new to it, you know, to get to the level that we're seeing now.
I have a statement here. I want to know how you guys feel about it, okay? Because you're obviously, coach, have been doing this for a while, and I'm not saying that my opinion is right, but I don't think everybody should learn how to do Olympic lifts. I think there are some people that you're better off just staying away from it and do. Some people are built like Camille, built for Olympic weightlifting, perfect. But like when you get a person who now is in their middle years, who has like really long femurs and a really short torso and
terrible shoulder mobility,
and we're going to be like, you know what, now just get deeper, you know, and you're just like wondering, well, what's with this back injury? What's with this shoulder injury? It's like, well, they're not really made for that, you know, like maybe they can get the same training effects. And this is one of the things that I'll do a lot with myself and with our athletes, the same training effects of Olympic lifting without Olympic lifting. You know, maybe it's things like, hey, we're doing dumbbell jumps. That's a great way to develop insane explosiveness, right? And there's other ways to develop coordination. But I think we get so married to Olympic lifting that, you know, it's like you're forcing people to take this pill, and it's like trying to put a square peg into a round hole. You know, and
I think it was because initially, like when people thought of CrossFit, like you said earlier, it was that we were doing things that no one else was doing. And one of those things was high repetition Olympic lifting.
Yep.
And I think there's a certain romance that goes with Olympic lifting in a CrossFit gym. Now, we've talked, Mason is in the chat here, and I know Jon and I have talked about this many times. I'm taking one of my lifters to world champs in Norway in October. I'm a weightlifting coach. I'm a big advocate of weightlifting, but in a CrossFit setting, if I've got a 50-year-old and younger, you know, I'm 40 just turned. If someone came in my age, a guy that plays soccer, he's got terrible calf, you know, his calves are massively tight as long as with hamstrings. He's got awful shoulder mobility. He doesn't know how to move very well. He comes in. The whole point in coaching him is for health and longevity. Why the hell am I wasting so much time trying to work on things for one thing? It's economy of effort. If I get him,
they got an hour. Like, what are they? They're going to spend 45 minutes of the hour getting into terrible positions, and then you're going to be like, okay, now just go ballistic for 15 minutes.
I've got him for 3 hours a week. He wants metcons, he wants strength, he wants explosive power, he wants a bit of everything. Why am I going to waste 45 minutes of that 3 hours a week trying to do stuff that he won't ever be able to do? What benefit is he getting? However, I've got a 16-year-old gymnast that's just come in who's perfectly built for Olympic lifting. Yes, fucking absolutely. Go and grab your barbell. We're getting moving. But for the other guy that's just come in, sorry, I'm going to give you other shit that's going to make a big difference to your life and get you stronger and moving better without having to do the circus act that everyone else is participating in. And I'm glad
coach, I think one valuable skill that like good coaches have is they're able to zoom out and look beyond the exercise or whatever it is they're doing and go to like, well, why am I doing this exercise? Like, what is the adaptation that I'm trying to get out of this exercise? Because there's normally a lot of ways to skin a cat. Consider that if you got like a 50-year-old athlete, right? And let's say for Olympic lifting, what do you think you're trying to develop? Well, let's say power is one of them, right? Maybe there's elements of speed. Maybe there's elements of agility and coordination. If you weigh that struggling in what would probably be considered more of a high-risk endeavor because there's speed and there's load, right? And maybe the positions aren't great or not great yet. Again, saying like, hey, you know what we're going to do today? We're going to do a dynamic warm-up. Right? We're gonna have you do a dynamic warm up. Then we're gonna have you do a plyometric series, and we're gonna work on your ability to quickly generate force and a stretch shortening cycle. And then we're gonna do some weighted ballistic move, even if it's like a landmine or med ball. I love med ball throws; are incredible, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna get a lot more out of that with a lot lower risk than being like, oh yeah, we're gonna try to like snatch, even though your shoulder does this every time you do it.
Yeah.
The problem is that most coaches don't know that, and they don't know how to do that because that's not part of CrossFit's curriculum. So like guys, that's why guys like you are so valuable, because you can bring that stuff in and really add these beautiful elements to nurture the idea of general physical preparedness, even though it's not necessarily by the numbers, that you might get in a 2-day course or something like that.
Yeah.
That's it. If you think you've got Jake, you've got that 50-year-old or mid-50s guy coming in three hours a week, do you think he's going to feel good after spending 45 minutes kind of fumbling through a snatch and getting like a 12-minute arm wrap at the end? Do you know what I mean? Like, and
even when you think this 50-year-old, the 50-year-old I'm thinking of is someone who's got a tire around their waist, has a low level of core strength, and is probably slow and weak. All right. So that's kind of what I'm thinking of, right? So if I'm like, okay, has a tire around the waist, there needs to be like a pretty good metabolic stimulus to this training session. Otherwise, I'm wasting my time trying to make him into an Olympic lifter. So there's got to be work that's happening, right? And gross movement patterns. And if core strength is an issue, maybe we find these like really basic patterns of squatting and hinging and pulling that are like really user friendly for this 50-year-old, because if he does that something today and it messes him up and he can't do it consistently, he's never going to get results. So like exercise selection is an important piece to that as well. And then from the strength point, it's got to be progressive. Like we can't just like do it once and then completely throw that playbook out and go to another playbook the next day. But there has to be some kind of continuous story to build upon with that. So those three elements, right? Like progression, being able to train with consistency, and having the training match up with what the client needs. Yeah. Those are like paramount, not, hey, this is what's written on the whiteboard, so this is what we're doing today.
Yeah, for sure. And Sean, I don't think Sean is probably understanding the point. Sean's triggered because he's really good at bar muscle ups and he likes cleans. So Sean, what we're trying to get at here is we're saying what you're saying is it is a very long term. You've put something in above. It is a very long term situation that we've got going on here. We're thinking longer term. So we're thinking, let's tick all the basics first. Let's get him moving. Let's get him understanding, primal movements, not to quote John Wellborn here, but I absolutely loved Power Athlete. Absolutely followed it initially. I've got all the handbooks. I did the course, blah, blah, blah. Getting the fundamentals ticked, getting the movement patterns, getting strength, getting explosive power that can all contribute towards down the line alongside with mobility work. If they want to do that, if they want to do mobility, they can. If they want to do those on the side. But if I'm getting that 50-year-old for 3 hours a week, I am not wasting my time in that gym completely messing him up for the sake of messing him up. If you've got a member coming in a gym, and anyone that's been a gym owner, knows this. If you don't titillate your members just enough, they're going to walk and go down the street. They will leave. You have to give them results. You have to give them short, mid, and long-term results. You need to talk to them and communicate that. If we do eventually want people to get a front rack position, but there's no reason why you wouldn't want someone developing their front rack position. However, whilst they're also doing that, during the classes, during the training, during the time that we do have them for that 1 hour of the day, I'm not going to waste time on all of that when I could be doing much better and productive things that down the line will contribute towards that if they so choose to do it.
I mean, the front rack is like one example of something that, let's call it a hurdle for someone, right? It's not even just a potential hurdle. It's a potential reason that someone might leave. And it's much harder to hold on to an athlete than to try to get a new one, right? It's a lot easier to just maintain your clients and try to get new clients. So you want your retention to be amazing. So if you're like, and that doesn't mean that like these aren't valuable skills to teach and give everyone some exposure to. I think what it means is that if you're looking at this as levels, there's no reason to progress someone to that Olympic lifting level if they can't do the levels before it properly, right? It doesn't make sense. Like if you can't air squat well, we don't need to back squat.
Yeah, you don't need a barbell on your butt.
You don't need a barbell at all. In fact, some people may never, ever, ever progress to a barbell, and they can still get massively fit, and they can still get results and not get hurt, even if it's like goblet squats. There's a lot of people that will end up training that way for sustainability, because anytime they try to go farther than that, they end up getting an injury and now they're gone. So it's like, it's okay. You don't have to go through every single level in terms of complexity. Where you need to go through levels in terms of like progressing your capacity, for sure. Like maybe you start grandma with air squats and a goblet squat, and oh shit, now she's got a 70-pound goblet squat. That's incredible. I still don't need to put a bar in her back. You know,
I had a client that came to me with such bad kyphosis, he couldn't even lie on a bench, and his head wouldn't touch the bench, and he wanted to squat, bench, and deadlift. Yeah. And it took me 2 years. He lost 90 kilos. And it took me, so that's like
200, over 200 pounds, isn't it?
Yeah, he was over 400 pounds when he came, and he's walking around at like the low 90 kilos now.
People diminish the basics, and they don't even know what they're missing out on. Like I can take, and you guys could probably do this too. You could take any fit, strong guy and demolish them with push-ups.
Yeah.
You could totally do that. I've done workouts where I'm like, that fucking push-up thing was horrific.
Remember the Sally Up song?
Here, try this, guys, okay? This is an easy one. When you go home, people are listening, or you guys want to try this out. Go even with nothing else, just a push-up, right? Do one push-up and then hold for 1 second halfway up. And then do 2 push-ups and hold for 2 seconds halfway up. And then 3, and then 4. If you can get to 10, add a light band. I've seen guys with 450-pound bench presses that can't get to 10 with their body weight. All right. So like it's like there's no reason to feel like you got to make it more complex to make it effective. In fact, I think like for that longevity and sustainability, the simpler you can make your program, and Greg uses the word elegance. I think that's what this is. Like how simple and how, I don't want to call it easy and achievable can I make a workout and have it be this incredible training stimulus, right? In terms of like volume, you know, like people are like, oh yeah, like I got to do 1,000,000 bazillion 20 sets. Like,
Murph every day.
You don't look at like, I mean, even pro bodybuilders, right? 4 simple exercises with 2 working sets in each exercise is an incredible dose, to the point where geared athletes, geared meaning they're taking anabolics, they can't even recover from that, right? If you're like, oh, it's back day, I'm going to deadlift, I'm going to do weighted pull-ups, I'm going to do single arm rows, and then I'm going to finish with a bicep movement. And if you take each one of those movements really to failure, maybe even to the point where you're getting some forced reps or something like that, that may be a total of 16 total sets, but actually when you look at it, it's 8 working sets. That's going to take you 72 hours to recover from. You don't need a million bajillion things.
No, there's 2 things from that. One, I went for a blood test the other day, and I decided in my wisdom to do a chest session afterwards, and I got my arm, I don't know if you can see it, but I've got completely bruised all the way down here. That was from 2 sets of bench, two sets to failure of bench. That was it. That's all I did that day. That was my whole training. I was short for time. But the other thing, so I'm a powerlifting coach along with John. We're British powerlifting coaches. The framework that they work around is 30 reps of 30 working reps per session. So whether you're squatting, benching, or deadlifting, or doing a larger accessory movement, you want to circle somewhere around the 30 reps of working. So, you know, 5x5 is obviously 25. So anywhere between the 25 and 30 is optimal. Any more than that, and you're either not going heavy enough, or you are gonna, you know, you're not going to failure enough. So that the heavier loads get those returns, like you said earlier. And it's really interesting when we're working with CrossFit members as opposed to our other clients from other sports and from powerlifting and weightlifting. It's such a different conversation and the results obviously vary. Now, one of my favorite ways to train is, like you said earlier, you started describing it. At the beginning, we have an explosive movement. So one that I really love doing is an alternating EMOM style fashion of, I know it sounds mad, but banded press ups or push ups.
Oh,
Get as high as you can off the floor. So one minute you might do 5 reps just for maximal force. The following minute, say 7 to 10 pulls on a ski erg on the alternating minute. So getting some really high force output on that minute. Just doing that for 10 minutes. The return on that, if you told an average CrossFitter, we're going to do 5 banded press ups 1 minute and then 7 pulls on a ski erg the next minute, and we're going to do a 10-minute EMOM, they'd laugh at you. They would say, what the hell am I getting from that? I want to do 20.
And I think that's because like they're looking at it through the lens of CrossFitters, they want to suffer.
And
I think the biggest thing that's not really taught is the role of the central nervous system in training. And it doesn't need to feel hard to be effective. It needs to be of high quality to be effective, right?
That's a term I use a lot, is I'm not trying to make you sore, I'm trying to make you better.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with being over recovered too. Like, the CrossFitters, if you are not even a great coach, if you're a decent coach that has a good idea of where you want to take somebody and you get a CrossFitter, it's like a treasure trove because they know how to do 2 things that most athletes don't know how to do. Most of them know how to move because they've squatted and they've deadlifted and pressed and pulled. So they have a generally good idea of positions and patterns that the average Joe doesn't. And that really takes the efficacy of the training to the next level because you can get so much bang for your buck out of those, core compound functional movements. So that's a huge advantage. If you get an athlete who's coming from CrossFit, like right there alone as a coach, that's a great advantage. But the second thing that's really important is they really know how to push themselves. Like they understand intensity. They'll work out until their hands bleed or until they puke, right? So now if you just take those skills and you put bumper lanes on your program and just push them in a focused direction, you see like incredible progress. Because most people aren't willing to push that hard and most people don't really have good quality movement. So like they're already starting at a really big advantage compared to the average gym goer even. And I don't think they realize that because, I think sometimes you've been hypnotized and because CrossFit gave you these skills that this is the only route to continue to see progress. And I think what it's giving them a jumping off point to now go explore whatever they want to explore and be able to do it at a really high level.
Learn and play new sports.
It's kind of like the Russian model of training. Like the Russian model of training starts with GPP. Nobody's in a sport yet, right? And then once everyone has a really good level of general physical preparedness, now you can start getting elite or continue to progress in a singular, but you're never going to continue to progress everywhere. Like that's got a shelf life to it. And I wonder if people even want that. I think if you ask the average Joe, why are you in the gym? They'll say, well, I want to look good, probably look good naked maybe. And I want to be able to do stuff, and so if you don't love the way you look or you're no longer seeing improvements in the aesthetic, or if you're constantly hurt and you're not able to do stuff because you got your shoulder kinesio taped and you're going through back surgery, like it's time to evolve.
Is this where the idea of starting ThundrBro came from?
ThundrBro came from like it wasn't even supposed to be training. ThundrBro, I wanted to make testosterone boosting coffee.
Wow.
I wanted to do testosterone boosting coffee, and I was going to call it ThundrBro coffee. And I wanted it to be this kind of like meathead coffee that you would drink in the gym that was full of like tribulus and D-aspartic acid and ashwagandha and tangali. And, that's where the name came from. And I drew lightning bolts around a coffee cup. And I was like, what do you guys think of this? But at the same time, congruent with that, right? At the same time, I started going through like I had a major back surgery, right? So I had my back reconstructed, all the typical stuff you see with like, you know, bad discs and impinged nerves. And, you know, it was just from years of like competing. And I don't blame CrossFit for these injuries. I blame the combination of a competitive person with doesn't have the off switch with the you know, the ability to abuse yourself, which a lot of people are in that boat. So, so after the surgery, I was like, man, I felt so blessed because I love training. I think we all love training.
What surgery did you have?
It's called a foraminotomy. So they drill holes in the spine to make room for the nerves. They tried to clean up the discs, and they put some stem cells inside the discs. I mean, it did what it did. I'm never 100% again. I mean, it's an injury for life, but at least now my legs aren't going numb.
All three of us have had some form of back surgery here.
Spinal surgery, yeah.
I think that says something, right? Like, yeah, I mean, call a spade, you know? Yeah. But anyways, you know, you can be old and hurt and fit and strong, or you can be old and hurt and not fit and strong. I choose to be fit and strong. And part of that journey was me trying to figure out, because like I was saying, I think we all love training, and for me, like movement and just using your body. It was athletics and baseball and strength sport. That's always been like a fabric of my identity for me to really express my gifts and my spirit and who I am, like that joy of movement. And I'm so connected to that when you get hurt, it doesn't just hurt your body, like it really hurts your soul, and it scares you, because if this is such a sense of joy and such a sense of your identity, something threatening that is very scary, right? And I think a lot of athletes go through that where they're like, oh shit, like this is where it really gets real. Am I ever going to be able to do X, Y, or Z again? And so after the surgery, I felt so blessed that I was like, I'm going to be able to train again. But the one thought in my head was like, this is the fact that I live in a time where they can fix my back and give me a second chance. Like, I want to respect that. And I want to honor that by not just going back and doing what I was doing before and you know, worse. So I was like, well, how can I continue to train and train hard and try to see progress without hurting this thing? And as I really did some inspection into just training and looking at myself, you know, from almost like an outside perspective, is so clear. The most common players associated with injury are speed and load, right? I went too fast and I got out of position, I got hurt. I went too heavy, I got out of position, got hurt. That like, you know, you know, a boarding technique, going for it. I love the adrenaline of that, but it was just like, it was too out of control, right? So I started thinking, what can I do? And I realized, you know, for all the years I've spent in strength and conditioning and training for this one, I've never really done bodybuilding, meaning I've never actually, beyond what I read in a magazine and I went to Gold's Gym and did 3 sets of 10, like I've never been like, hey, I'm going to see what I can actually do with my physique. And that led me on a path to really exploring hypertrophy training and learning as much as I could about it. And so I started first just like reading. I read a book by a guy named Dr. Brad Schoenfeld, who's kind of considered the worldwide authority on hypertrophy science. And so he has a book literally called Science of Muscle Hypertrophy. And I was reading it, and I hadn't, you know, heard these concepts since back when I got my CSCS from the NSCA, like the physiology. And I started realizing, I was like, man, you know, I'm not so sure that all the coaches I know even know what a muscle is made of. I don't think they can tell me what a muscle is made of. I don't think they can tell me how a muscle contracts. And then we started learning about the hypertrophy science, like the mechanisms that drive muscle hypertrophy. And really what I was trying to do is figure out, like, where does this fit into what I like to do, you know, with functional fitness and stuff. And so, you know, with surgery, the doctors will say, okay, now just don't lift heavy anymore. And your question naturally is going to be, well, how do I get bigger and stronger if I can't lift heavy? And to me, hypertrophy is the answer to that, right? Hypertrophy allows you to lift submaximal weights, and, you know, momentum and speed, that's kind of the enemy of muscle hypertrophy. Like, you want good control, you want good tension, getting, you know, just, you know, moving the weight from A to B, terrible hypertrophy training, right? But it's really about being in good positions, and that actually helps open up range of motion. I think when you look at that versus a lot of like strength sports stuff, hypertrophy training is really building you up, literally. I mean, that's the whole process of increasing a muscle fiber size is you're starting to fortify some of these critical areas of breakdown, the shoulder, the hips, the knee, the back, all that stuff. Like you can really build up the tissue around those areas so that when you do decide to do something heavy or do something fast, you've got the supportive structures around it to be able to do it well without hurting yourself. So I think like that, to me, it kind of reframed everything where like hypertrophy is the foundation of all of this. Like you need the muscle mass, you need the functional range of motion, and you can still develop strength, but it doesn't need to be heavy as possible all the time. And it doesn't need to be as fast as possible. And if your goal is the physicality aspect of it, you're probably doing yourself a disservice by, letting your score on the whiteboard dictate what you think your intensity is. Intensity is really something that goes beyond speed and load. And it's wrapping your head around this concept of I need to exhaust my muscle to failure. And then I need to ask it to do something it doesn't normally do. And you can use all kinds of cool tricks in hypertrophy training to do that. That doesn't involve putting more weight on the bar.
Well, bands and chains for a start. Conjugate and like the West Side did a pretty good job of introducing that to me anyway.
Oh yeah.
I don't train my clients out in affiliate. I train them out of it's like a strength gym. So it's a lot of machines, a lot of power racks. So we use a lot of things like cluster sets, rest pause, all that kind of, I'm sure that's the kind of lines that you're kind of going down.
I got really lucky because I think most people think bodybuilding is boring. And traditional bodybuilding is pretty boring.
I find it somewhat boring.
Like if you're going to do like linear periodization and, the same 6 movements, and some bodybuilders do that for a lifetime. They do the same workouts their entire life. It gets really boring. And unless you're taking a lot of anabolics, that usually has a shelf life too, or you're just not going to see much more progress. I got really lucky because I went to a gym in Colorado that had these phenomenal bodybuilding coaches that really, they understood the context of the different ways you can elicit muscle hypertrophy, right? So you can get muscle hypertrophy from an 8 to 12 rep. You can get it from a 15 to 20. You can get it from a 20 to 30. It doesn't really matter. But there are a lot of different ways, and they call these intensification methods to make light weights feel really hard and exhaust the muscle. So like, to me, that really makes bodybuilding much more exciting and entertaining than just doing the 8 sets of 10, because you can still, you can still build up to a top set. But after that, now you can be like, hey, we're going to do a cluster set. We're going to do a drop set. We're going to throw in some isometrics, or we're going to do a blood starvation set where you're resting with your arms above your head, or we're going to do isometrics in this one, or, like all kinds of really cool things that I think they add that versatility component too, and definitely the stamina component. And you'll see bodybuilders as they get older usually move more towards a higher volume model because it's less damaging to the tendons and connective tissue than just like the heavy all the time. So like that stuff is killer. And I love this is more fun for me than like giving a strong guy like a 25-pound weight and just watching him die.
Well, there's one of Kai Green's videos from a little while ago. He walks in this gym with probably one of these silly masks on, but there's these lads there that are curling like 70-pound dumbbells, and they're arching around and they're moving around. And he goes in there and he does 2 sets of max reps with what the equivalent of 10 kilos, so 22-pound dumbbells, and he's just there, and every rep is taking 20 seconds on the way, eccentric, concentric, and he's holding it, at the top and giving a good ISO. And he is demolished. But Kai Green's arms are something like 50-inch arms. So like and again, the other thing with this is the language. Bodybuilding isn't necessarily speedos and fake tan. It's bulletproof it is literally building your body. That's what bodybuilding is. It can
be speedos and fake tan. I mean, I've done that. That's awesome. But I think where it really holds context is like, it is the support for whatever your athletic endeavor is. Like it really is the foundation is muscle, right? So if you're powerlifting, you obviously need to touch heavy weight and power lift, but you can also do a tremendous amount of bodybuilding to support touching that weight. And that's what conjugate does. You know, you do like a little bit of it's either speed or it's either as heavy as possible. The rest is bodybuilding. Olympic lifting, the same thing. Like, you know, look at the Chinese Olympic weightlifters. They do a ton of bodybuilding. And for a CrossFitter, one of the things that's really nice about it is it gets you out of this mindset of like, you know how like your ego takes over when you're doing an exercise. You're like, well, this guy did it, so I'm going to do it. Or, you know, matching the number or the times or the sets or the reps or whatever it is, right? Bodybuilding is not that. Like, to me, bodybuilding, like when you're doing it well, let's say you're doing like a set of 12 reps, you're not doing 12 reps. You're doing one individual rep as perfect as you can for as long as you can. And it's like 12 sets of one perfect rep. So when I see people like, I'm doing 12, and the first one, they're like just cranking it out, and then it gets hard, and then they start working. Like, no. Like, you want to be super dialed in. And if you get to that 12 reps, that's great. If you get to 8, that's fine. If you get to 12 and you still have more in the tank, keep going. But it's just kind of being like intuitive about your training and really, you know, feeling what's going on. And being able to really live in each individual rep. And I like to tell people, like, don't even count your reps. Don't even count. Just like do them as perfect as you can. And when it starts getting hard, that's really when your set is starting, because those are the effective reps. And that's what a lot of people do is like, as soon as it starts, oh, that one felt hard, they stop, they put it down. You're like, no. You're not getting anything out of reps 1 through 8. That's foreplay. That's just setting you up for those 4 grinding effective reps at the end. So don't abort when it gets hard. Like lean into that, right? Like live in that a little bit, because when you live in that space, that's what's going to flip on the growth mechanism, right? And so like there's so many different ways to do that too.
I always try and tell my clients, especially new clients, that the set isn't ending until the movement is slowed down significantly. If you're completing that 12th rep at the same speed on the concentric that you are in rep 1 and 2, that's not anywhere close to where we want you to be.
Yeah, try this next time you're in the gym. Try this with one of your clients. So tell them, give them a set of dumbbells. Let's say that you're doing a bench press. You know, give them a set of I don't know what you guys call it. 40 kilo. What's 40 kilos? 80 pounds. Give them like 30 kilo dumbbells, right? 90, like 70 pounds, 90, right? And say, hey, you're gonna do some reps, and you're gonna go 3 seconds down, 1 second pause, and then come back up. And don't tell them how many. Just,
I never tell them.
In the middle of their set, they're gonna ask you, hey, how many am I doing? And just go, I don't know.
I say that every day, all day. When they say how many, I'd say I don't know.
Because those really good coaches, what they're doing is they're listening with their eyes. Right. So they're waiting to be like, when they start to see like, okay, now he's starting to shake. Now I'm going to get a little closer to this athlete. I'm going to, maybe you tell them, you settle them in. You're like, okay, now stay in it. And then they start, now you got your hands under their elbows, and now they're not getting it. So you help them with that forced rep. And then they do one more and they're like, fuck, I've never trained like that before in my life, because most people don't. Right. That's just not the way they're programmed to do things. But like really good hypertrophy coaches, like that's yours, like Hani Rambod. He's always terrorizing people because, you set these parameters. Usually it's like, a technique or a speed parameter, and you just let them go and you just watch them. And then when they start struggling, that's when you're like, okay, now let's go. Like as a team, let's go there together.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's so it's funny when we're dealing with sport. So if I'm training, like Jon had a lady go to nationals recently with powerlifting. The beginning of if we're running a 12-week cycle leading up to a competition, I personally have the first 2 or 3 weeks purely as hypertrophy training. So we're looking at mass building. We're looking at getting really high quality muscle to build on, as we then filter down towards the triples and the doubles later on. And each step of the way along that 12-week cycle is a new challenge pretty much every couple of weeks. We're looking for adaptation, and then we move on and we filter down, we're getting heavier loads, we're prepping the body. And another way that one of my colleagues, Dan, has put this is we're bulletproofing the body. So whenever we program bodybuilding style training at the CrossFit gym, we just call it bulletproofing, and people go, "Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah, we're bulletproof. We're getting hurt." But all it is bodybuilding. That's all we're doing. But if you call it something different, it has this completely different
accessories.
Yeah, accessories. People call it accessories. No, you're not. You're bodybuilding. Just call it what it is. It's funny.
Yeah, I think there's just a stigma attached to it. I know that in CrossFit there definitely is, and that stigma was probably passed down directly from Greg, because I don't think he had a great experience in the traditional bodybuilding gym. I mean, in fact, I know he was like kicked out of Gold's Gym, or there was something going on there. And I totally understand. You got these bodybuilders who are, one, just genetically gifted, and two, are on a bunch of drugs. And people think, well, if I do what they're doing, I'm going to look like them. And you're like, no, it takes a lot more than that. It takes functional movements. It takes intensity to get that. And that's still bodybuilding. It's just like, I think most people's exposure to bodybuilding is bad bodybuilding.
Well, not everyone has been able to watch Pumping Iron about 10,000 times either. So, when you know it word for word, you know what bodybuilding really is about.
But I don't think that's
with CrossFit, like everything is framed in the realm of like performance most of the time, right?
Task orientation.
Almost to the point where like aesthetics are diminished. I think we heard like Greg used to say like putting mirrors in a gym is stupid. And I go, well, it's not stupid if the person who's at that gym is there because they want to look good, right? It's not stupid if that reflection of what they see is the motivating factor for them to come to the gym. So I don't know that it's stupid. It's just different, right? It's just like, it depends on what your why is. And with a strong enough why, you can endure anyhow, but you don't want to like take people's why away, or tell them that your why is the why that they should have. Like, I want to be an elite performer. So that's what your motivation should. It doesn't have to be that at all. And when we, years ago, Dave Castro and Nicole Carroll asked Camille and I to do a course. They wanted us to like design a course for CrossFit, a specialty course. And I think what they wanted us to do is like kind of rewrite the competitors course and do something in that realm. And this was right around the time that I was getting into all this stuff. And I was like, oh man, I got the perfect idea. We'll call it hypertrophy for functional fitness. And it's about how you can do hypertrophy training with functional movements and minimal equipment to support performance, to support orthopedic health, to be able to give you personal gratification. And they were like, what do you mean, like bicep curls? And I go, no. There's this incredible science behind it. There's all this stuff. There's the nutrition. There's all these mechanisms. It's not what you're doing, but how you're doing it that makes such a big difference with this stuff. And they were, completely uninterested by it because of the stigma that bodybuilding had to them. So I think the way you frame it to people is really important, because if they don't believe in it, there's always that placebo effect too, right? You believe this is going to help you. I think you could put something like, even in the current CrossFit model where there's like a group class, you could totally, at the end of the CrossFit workout each day, have a focused hypertrophy piece, or like a finisher specific to the body part that you trained, or maybe an antagonist body part, or something that just correlates or matches up with whatever you're doing. So now you have a structured hypertrophy plan of attack that is going to allow like recoverability between, body parts and things like that. Like, you could absolutely integrate it. And I think I know gyms are already doing it, but I think people would really love it. And it gives them that full hour of work, right? Where they're like working the whole time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm very lucky at the gym. At the gym that I go to now, I was an affiliate owner. I took a couple of affiliates from end of 2014 to 2021, and I did my own programming. The idea for me of outsourcing for CrossFit, and I had my membership base. I had about 350 members across the two gyms. For me, I wanted to train, program for the best at my gyms and scale for the rest. But I always had in the back of my mind, from when I was 13, I had my own bench set in my gym, in my garage at home. Me and my dad would work out, listen to Led Zeppelin tapes. And from then on, up until probably the age of about 21, 22, it was bodybuilding work. I just watched bodybuilding DVDs, probably questionable DVDs.
You ever watch Dorian Yates?
Yeah,
Manchester Blood and Guts.
That man was a mentalist. It's
That's
absolute
training.
savage. 45 minutes.
Every CrossFitter would train like that in a heartbeat. They would fucking love that, you know.
What was the program? The Barnyard Door Back program, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that's what it was. Yeah.
It's just the problem is they tried it before at Crunch Fitness and they didn't know what to do and they didn't want to look silly, so they didn't really train hard. And you know, I think there's like you could absolutely, this doesn't exist, right? And I would love to do it, but somebody's going to do it sooner or later. You could do like a really high quality hypertrophy training system in a group setting for sure.
Bro fit.
Standardized piece of equipment. You get a squat cage with a pulley system, right? And now you can perform all of your bodybuilding in groups of like 5 on a cage, just like we have in my garage happening right now, right? 5 on a cage. You have a coach run a class. They can teach you technique. They can teach you, teach people how to spot each other. Like there's that people would love, and the community aspect too, because that's what people love about CrossFit is they're not alone. They're with a group.
Dave, it's funny you say that. We've mulled on that idea before, and we've labeled it bro fit, like between us, between Jon and I. But
ThundrBro fit, you know.
Matt, that would be amazing. So Monday every week is chest day, and then you get chest day 2 on Friday to put your shirt on before you go out on a Friday night. Just simple things like the leg day. No one trains legs on Mondays at a normal gym, so Monday is therefore leg day. So
it's gotta be Monday. We in our program. Monday is leg day because it sucks so bad that unless you do it, you're gonna skip it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Get it out of the way.
But you could. It's quite a simple prospect, and there are just like High Rocks, right, has come and scooped up all the aerobic, more geared up, more aerobic people within the CrossFit scene. It's scooped them up and given them an event that they love and they can train for, and it suits their kind of background and what they grew up doing, whether it's soccer or running or whatever. Back squats on a Monday. At our gym, we always program squatting, or if it's heavy, leg, let's call it leg day. But if we're doing that, it will always be on a Monday. It won't be, some aerobic piece with a little bit of press ups. It's a tough leg workout or compound movement on a Monday. But it's such an obvious one to me. It always has been since I started doing CrossFit. It's like I was doing initially CrossFit at a normal Globo gym in the corner, and I thought all these lads have come here to talk. They're here to be part of this, bodybuild. I call it bodybuilding. This type of training, weightlifting, weight training community. They come down here. They're here for 2 hours. Half the time they're having a chat about what they're doing on the weekend or how work was. And then they do a few sets in between. If you can give them structure, if you can give them a program, imagine walking in, clone a CrossFit gym in terms of everything else. A few extra machines, squat racks, a leg press machine. You've got all the gear set out, more dumbbells than a regular CrossFit gym.
Yep.
And then you walk in the white
floor space, cages on the sides. And like when you think about CrossFit, right, and the majority of the CrossFit programming, it's kind of in this like glycolytic energy system, right? So it's not, most of it is not 1 rep maxes. Most of it is not 10K runs, but it's kind of like 15-ish minute workouts, right? Where you're doing mixed modal stuff. And if you really think objectively as to like what captures the most people, is probably going to be stuff that's like lower skill. So dumbbells and kettlebells and sandbags and sleds, right? It's probably going to be the stuff that's not massively heavy. So maybe you get rid of the 1 rep maxes, you get rid of the skill. And now what you have is you have a bodybuilding program with very accessible CrossFit attached to it. And you cast such a wide net, right? Because like, I think that's what most people want. It's like, I want to have muscle and I want to have a good VO2 max. And they probably don't care what their clean and jerks are. Some do, but I think most don't. And now I think you really expand that. We talk about retention. I think you really expand the ability to retain, and you eliminate a lot of the hangups of the program. Or like you ask, well, why are you leaving? Usually it's someone saying like, I can't keep doing this to myself. Like I can't keep, like my experience was I would have loved to keep competing in CrossFit. I just couldn't, I was just breaking down. Like I couldn't keep doing it. And I think that's where a lot of people get. Or the other one is that like, I'm just not seeing any more progress. Like the first 3 years is like the honeymoon period where you pick up so many skills and you gain so much capacity. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, you're there, you're at your level of fitness, and now just try to stay there. That's not very, that's not a very engaging game. I want levels. I want to keep, bigger, stronger, faster, like that's fun to see progress. So I think you solve for those things with a model like that.
Yeah. And that's what's made CrossFit so successful and kept people coming. The retention. It's not only the gym, it is the affiliate owners. It's how well can they run a gym? How much of a community can they foster at their gym? How can they program? How well can they get coaching? And they keep that. And it's why it's been so damn successful at the affiliate level for so many years now. And they do a bloody good job. Especially like the affiliate that I go to. I couldn't ask for a better gym to be at.
I think that like I've seen so many programs, and most of them are kind of like in that competition realm. Like you've got Invictus and Proven and HWPO and Comp Train and all this stuff. And I think of all of the programs I've seen, the one that I think would fit best into the CrossFit model is like Rich Froning's Everyday Athlete. It's kind of like the lower skill accessible stuff. It's just more of that. It's more simple, effective stuff. And you don't need to get upside down on a set of rings, and you don't need to do a squat snatch. Just go and work hard, and do some basic stuff. And I think that's kind of what the programming piece, I think, is one piece. It's just one piece of many pieces that I think has really become a challenge.
And here's the thing with that is that I know you said going upside down, but I had a couple of discs replaced in my neck in early 2020, just before pandemic. So I haven't been upside down for a handstand push-up since 2019, when my nerve effectively, died in my neck. There's certain things that I know damn well I'm never going to do again. I don't want to do again. Why the hell would I want to do a handstand push-up? Why would I ever need to do one of those? But
it's not even like, why would you need to do one of those when you can just sit on a bench with a neutral grip and press dumbbells in a safer shoulder position without impacting your neck? Like, why would you do that?
And herein lies the thing. It's the risk reward, obviously, to the individual, but it's the benefit to the individual and the groups that are doing it. We have to remember why we're doing these things. People come to the gym to either get their performance higher, to look better, or to feel better. So that it's one of those two things, like you said. And if something you're doing in that gym isn't quite fitting in with what your goals are, you have every right as an individual, as a paying member, to ask, "Excuse me, coach, why am I doing this?" And if your coach can't, coach can't tell you, but if you dial it right back, like you've just given an example of some, and even throwing in Arnold press, these movements that are so obvious but basic and also manageable to the individual without much coaching. Get people to do an Arnold press, right? Sit on a bench. Yeah. Have a look at your fingernails. Right. Okay, good. Right. Now show me your fingernails as you press. Right. Okay, done. Now bring it back down to the start position. Right. Now you do an Arnold press. You can go away and do that now yourself.
Yeah.
There's basic.
You don't need to take a course on how to Arnold press.
No, exactly.
And I think like you guys know, you've seen the common injuries, right? But like, I think that there's some stuff where if someone comes over to our gym to train, like not everybody's doing the same thing. And I'm not even calling it like scaling. It's more like exercise selection. I think like for CrossFit especially, like every gym should have a belt squat machine. Every gym should have a safety squat bar. Probably multiple if they can, because think about how many people in the average CrossFit gym right now have a back that's messed up.
Yeah.
I would say there's probably every single gym has a few of them. And the answer for that is like, oh, well, just go lighter on the back squat or, do it anyways or whatever. I think there's just like easy solutions. So, we can get coaches to the point where they start to understand how to allocate that exercise selection based on various needs outside of the fact where it's like, well, this is what the workout is, so this is what you're supposed to do. You kind of think about it again, like zooming out and being like, okay, well, what are the patterns here? And how do we create that pattern for somebody without hurting them, where they can actually get good intensity out of it? And, or like you're saying, Jake, like, how do I get them to do this without having to spend 45 minutes teaching them how to manipulate this barbell right now? You know, like it doesn't have to be a one size fits all.
No. And one of our friends, a friend of Jon and ours, Athena. Have you heard of Athena Perez?
No.
She's a fellow American. She runs a course called Scaled Nation. So she's got an affiliate called Scaled Nation as well. She was featured in a CrossFit documentary in 2017 in about May. She was morbidly obese, so she'd had multiple health issues because of that, and she's written a couple of books now about her upbringing and what led her down that path and what she went through as a kid. A beautiful soul. She's an incredible woman, and she started Scaled Nation to pass on this information to other people that, you know, she calls larger bodied athletes that walk around with a lot of, you know, adipose tissue on them, that want to move, that they're desperate to find someone that understands. Yeah. And the beauty of her knowledge is that she completely understands the hurdles that they already have before they've even walked in the gym. Yep. And it's basic things, and the coaching level that she has small groups, things like people that are morbidly obese. They tend to be very frontal loaded, so they have a lot of, you know, of tissue on the front. So if you give someone that's morbidly obese, like the gentleman in the picture, skip with a skipping rope, not only are they putting up to, you know, 400 pounds plus through the floor every time and their knees, they can't skip forward. She's figured out if you skip backwards, like Josh Bridges used to do with a double under, if you skip backwards, it's actually a lot lighter load going through the body, and you can actually maintain a higher heart rate going backwards. She's developed this entire shoot off from CrossFit for people specifically that are larger body athletes, and the difference she's made to those people.
So much sense, because, you know, you start to think about, like, okay, hey, you know, we're doing Helen today, and we're going to run 400-meter, you know, repeats. Most people that are really obese have bad ankles. You know, they're going to blow, and if they sprain the ankle, now they're like, well, I can't go to the gym, I can't do anything. Like, does it even make sense to ask somebody to do something that you know is going to be higher risk for them when you have other options? And that peer pressure too, right? Like the peer pressure, thinking like, oh, this is a scale. It's not a scaled version. Sometimes it's a harder version, you know, like, but what does it mean to somebody to be able to do something and work hard and do it pain-free? It like gives them like a boost. It gives them like, they're like, this is great. I'm squatting without back pain for the first time ever. And I got hundreds of pounds on my legs in this belt squat, you know, like it can really put the wind in their sails and get them excited about training again.
Absolutely. And one of the examples that Athena's been given is where someone, I was telling our mutual, I'm not going to call him a friend, our mutual Grant, we were having this conversation yesterday, is that I was trying to encourage him to lighten the load, to get the intensity required to hit the stimulus in order to get his aerobic base that he's trying to figure all this out. I'm not going to talk about it again. Anyway, I've forgotten what my bloody point was then. Bloody hell, Grant. He has this habit of doing
not the scaled option to make it easier. It's so he can actually work harder. Yeah.
So one of the I know you said about the running example. A lot of coaches, without and this is no fault of their own, without any knowledge around this, would say, all right, can you row instead? Go and sit on a rower. Now, Athena said to us, she asked us both on it. Do you remember this, Jon? What's the weight capacity? What's the weight capacity on a rower? I had no idea. So, was it 150 kilos?
I would guess it would have to be. I mean, it's made of, some parts are made of plastic. Most of it's made of like aluminum. I think I've never seen anybody on there like we've seen the Brian Shaw, who's has been on there. So I would assume.
But they stack the join with bumper plates underneath the join. When he goes on it. Yeah.
So we're looking at about 350 pounds is the weight limit.
500 pounds is the weight limit.
500 pounds is the weight limit.
Now it is.
Right. Yeah. So if you had a coach that said, all right, can you just go and sit on the rower? if that individual got on that rower and broke that rower in front of a class of people, you will never see that person again.
Yeah.
They are never coming back to that gym.
Hard for life. Find another school.
Yep. So exactly. So having this knowledge of specific groups because of certain goals, because of these, specific goals within our groups and our individuals and the people that we're working with, it does matter. We can't just have this one size fits all blanket approach for everyone. And I guess within the CrossFit space, that comes down to one, the programming that the gym's using, but two, the level of coaching and the care that people put into it.
Yeah. I think the other, player in the room is just the ego. It's funny to me how for a lot of years we heard this mantra where it's like, you got to check your ego at the door with CrossFit, right? Because it's going to humble you. Yeah. But I feel like
nobody checks their ego at the door.
I feel like it is the biggest collection of egos you've ever seen. You know what I mean? Like it's such like you got to check your ego at the door, but then you walk out and you're like, oh my God, or just like the competitive aspects, like the competitive people. Some of them maybe regard themselves in a special light. So they have their special bars and their special corner and all that stuff. I think too, like that scaling aspect of it is like, it's only natural for people to look around and compare. And I think we got to like reframe it. And I think the reframing is kind of what we're talking about. Is like, it's just about the training stimulus. It does not matter how much weight's on the bar. It does not matter what movement you're doing. It matters that you're training hard and getting better. And you seem like elite athletes. I'm always see some athlete that I'm like really impressed by their physicality or something like that. And I'm always kind of like disappointed when I see them train because I'm like, I was expecting they were going to be way more impressive, and they're just not, they're just impressive athletes. I think part of that is actually them being like, my goal is not to be the star in the weight room. My goal is to be good at what I do. And I think people sometimes need to be like, you don't have to be the star in the weight room. You need to just get what you need to get out of the weight room so you can go be the star in your life.
Yeah, for sure. And do you know, I don't suppose you do know, the demographics, the breakdown of people that subscribe to ThundrBro?
Oh, yeah, I know them well. So ThundrBro it's very interesting. So for our subscription training, and it's changing now that Cami is doing the female portion of the brand, but we're about 70% of the subscription training for like Muscle Anarchy is men. But then we have these body transformation challenges where we pair training and nutrition and weekly check-ins with Camille and I, where it's like, it's called the Shred Challenge. And so these people, it's kind of like a total body transformation. We give them a entire system. So it's really more focused on the other 23 hours of the day that they're not in the gym. There's a lot of different training options, but you guys know this, like training is training. As long as you're training hard, as long as you're training consistently, it doesn't really fucking matter. You just need to do these simple things well. The big difference for most of these people is what's happening in those other 23 hours. So, they will get, written out diets and schedules, and it's progressive. So every week when they check in, everyone gets an adjustment every single week based on their progress. And we use these caloric rotations of like higher and lower days that kind of wean them down over time. That is 85% women. It is 85% women. And they love the bodybuilding, but and they're doing the same program. Like they're doing Muscle Anarchy, they're doing Alpha Beta. It's this high level bodybuilding inside of the garage gym or the CrossFit gym. But if it was the training alone, they probably wouldn't even do it, or maybe they'd be even intimidated by it. But the fact that we pair it with that transformation
with the challenge,
like that really resonates with women. And that goes back to like, hey, with a strong enough why, you can endure anyhow. And so that's now the biggest growing area of our business is the female side of things is growing massively. And I wouldn't be surprised if even in the next year that it started to surpass the men's side, because these girls are getting exposed to the training. They never knew training in the CrossFit gym or the garage gym could be like that. You know, they've never really done it. They thought it was like, well, CrossFit and Planet Fitness with nothing in between. So yeah, that's kind of changing as we go this year.
I think that's where Miranda has done really well with street parking. It's a similar kind of thing, you know.
I think she's made the like functional fitness a lot more accessible, just in terms of like what we're talking about, like the complexity of what people are doing, working the full hour, you know. And I think like all these spin-off communities are people look at CrossFit and they're like, oh yeah, CrossFit is like really losing popularity or heading in the wrong direction. I think the population of people doing functional fitness has grown. And I think what's happened is it's dispersed from CrossFit into High Rocks, into F45, into, you know, all these things we're talking about. It's like, you know, it's starting to bleed out where everyone is finding their niche. Right. Like maybe the full CrossFit program, not really for them, not really a sustainable thing, but they learned a lot from it and they love the community aspect of it. And maybe there is a more individual community for them that fits them where they're at right now.
CrossFit's had babies, basically. It's had a load of babies and they're going off and they're doing their own thing. It doesn't take away from what CrossFit does. It's not,
myself and Camille and Miranda, we were all CrossFit HQ staff members who recognized the need. We're this stuff is great, but you're really kind of missing the boat here. And all of us have a slightly different lens. Like I'm looking at through the lens of bigger, faster, stronger. I want to be this like stud 43-year-old guy who's the strongest guy in the gym and looks good naked and you know, can still do stuff without getting hurt. You know, Camille looks through it through the lens of, hey, I'm a mom and I don't have the time to train anymore. And my hormones are changing and I'm not responding to what I used to respond to. And I need to kind of like take these foundations and really tweak them to fit me for where I'm at now. So I think there's unlimited opportunity for that.
The other thing as well is that, you know, fucking however long ago it was, Greg was talking about we need to have incremental growth. The whole industry of what we're doing needs to grow. If we own 10% of the industry, if we grow the industry, we own 10% of a much larger industry. We don't want to own the industry. And that's actually what's happened. CrossFit has grown this industry, and we've got so many different offshoots on it that cater for certain different lenses, like you've said. You know, and
it's a catalyst. I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but like when I started training in like the early 2000s, there were no bumper plates in gyms. There were no Olympic lifting platforms. There were no pull-up bars. There were no rings. There were no kettlebells. There was machines and steppers, right? And that was it. Now, if you go to any gym, club gym in the world, you can probably find some of those things there. You'll find a platform. You'll find a sled. And I think all of that can be directly drawn back to the rise in popularity in CrossFit and these gyms realizing like, hey, people are obviously interested in this stuff. They don't have to go to a CrossFit gym or build their own gym in their garage. We can build them a gym for that stuff here. And that's just like across the board in the fitness industry. You know, CrossFit is a name brand. So a name brand can go away. But I think the idea of this type of fitness, like the idea of mixed modal training, I think the idea of group exercise and that community. And I think the idea of like, maybe not everything is on a machine, but like functional movements and intensity really have a value. That's not going away. That's being, you know, the story's continuing. And who knows, like High Rocks may replace CrossFit completely. And then there's going to be something else that's going to come after that. I don't know, but it's definitely not the end all. It's really like, it was the seed that just started to shift the view of the industry.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, High Rocks is obviously an event rather than a methodology. So in terms
I
of,
wouldn't be surprised to see if they try to turn it into a methodology. And
they are trying now.
You can already predict where the gaps in that are going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if you guys saw, but like Lifetime Fitness. I don't know if you guys have those over there, but here in the United States,
equivalent.
Yeah, Lifetime Fitness is owned by he's a Shark Tank guy. He owns the Bucks. I can't remember his name, but he's one of these big
billionaires.
Mark Cuban.
Yeah, Mark Cuban. That's him.
Mark Cuban. Okay, so Mark Cuban wanted a gym where he could play basketball at, so he started Lifetime Fitness, and it's great. Their locker rooms are beautiful. They have leather couches and amenities, all kinds of stuff. And they started this thing called like Alpha Fit, which is kind of like this what we're talking about, right? Oh, there's like functional lifting classes going on. Now they're going to start to do competitions in all the Lifetime Fitness gyms here. So they're going to turn it into a competitive thing, because I think they realize, people like training, but they also like competing, and they also like community.
Yeah, for sure.
There's going to be more and more of this stuff. I think,
and
Nike
it's great.
Too. Did Nike start doing gyms?
They do. Kit and gyms. Yeah.
I mean, these companies have a lot of reach, and which is great. That means they can really market themselves. I personally like, methodologies that are kind of born of like legendary coaches. I think that like if you're a big corporate entity and you're like, a lot of people want to do fitness, let's come up with a fitness program. It's going to be okay. It won't. I don't think it'll be bad. I don't think it'll be great. It'll be okay, right? But I love these ones where it's like there was some visionary person that developed a method that usually. Sorry, my daughter's yelling at me.
I love it. Well, we've had you on for an hour and a half.
It's raining here. It's great talking with you guys.
Yeah. No. Well, Dave, we're both dads.
I'll be with you in a second.
So we get it. You've had an hour and a half. We've grabbed an hour and a half of your time, so we won't keep you too much longer.
It was awesome. I love talking. Training is an honor to be here with you guys. Hope love to do it again sometime too.
Sundays,
Sundays
definitely get you back.
We always do leg day after church on Sunday, so there's always a bunch of people here. That's why it can be a little bit tough sometimes, but I'm not training today, so it worked out good.
All right, lovely. All right, and Dave. Well, what we'll do, we'll keep in contact about BroFit. We'll set that up soon.
Do it. Someone should do it. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not, but someone should do it because it would be awesome. Bodybuilding and CrossFit, and not just like boring fucking bodybuilding, like real high level bodybuilding that gets people excited about bodybuilding.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I'm going to give you guys message me on Instagram. I'm going to give you like some samples of the program for you to check out. I'd love your feedback on it.
Sweet.
Amazing. That'd be great.
Yeah, I love giving other coaches a taste of it, and I mostly love seeing them squirming with weights that I thought they were strong with. That's fun.
Love that. Part. Oh, good stuff. Cheers, Dave. Thank you so much.
All right.
Really
thank you, guys.
That. Thanks for your time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Cheers, Dave.
There we go.
We weren't lying.
I've been holding a pee in for like 90 minutes.
Oh.
So 2 seconds. I'm going to go pee in the garden and then I'll come back.
All right, I'll be on my own.
Unless you need to shoot off, do you? Nah, speak for a wee minute.
Yeah.
You can chat.
Keep your microphone on, we'll hear it. Yeah, we weren't lying. See? A few of you doubted us. We had faith. Neil, piss on stream. Cool beans. I say cool beans ironically, Sean. Do you? Like if my daughter says something, I go, cool beans, like you're an idiot, sort of thing. I don't say it ever like meaning it. I don't even know what it means. Thanks, Trish. I hope it titillated. You weren't lying until you weren't lying. You weren't lying until you weren't lying. Okay. Don't get it. What was this, Seema? What was that in relation to? Bahram Akhadi. What's he been up to? I'm moist. That's it. Time for rounds. No, but that's a good point. I think, Dave obviously a very, 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 very intelligent trainer and experienced guy. He knows what he's on about. He's come through the other side. So, and you know, I hope we didn't do CrossFit a disservice there.
That was good.
Okay, I see. I thought you. Yeah, cool, lovely. Hope we didn't do CrossFit a disservice there. I hope we didn't, you know, come across as slagging it off.
I don't think he was slagging it off, but
no, not at all.
Because there is certain things that I agreed with that he was saying. And there's reasons why I don't do a lot of stuff that I hardly ever kip. I don't all go upside down. He's got his reasons. He's
a lad. Absolute lad.
At the end of the day, he was he was HQ staff up until 2020. He's a level 4. He's literally been at every level in that company. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
You know?
Every argument that anyone can bring up pro CrossFit, he's said 1,000 times before, and he's just changed his viewpoint on that. One thing I was going to ask him about was whether he thought it was just because he turned 40. And a lot of 40-year-old blokes, if you look at them, you've got Kalipa, Bridges, Spieler, you got all that kind of cohort from around there that are in their 40s now, even Dan Bailey. Like they're all shifted now. They put, you know, they're going more down the more of a strength bodybuilding power route than traditional CrossFit. But then again, like they were at the tip of the spear and they've just probably burnt out. Whereas you gem pop goer to the CrossFit gyms, they probably haven't reached that point. And they probably won't ever will because they won't put their body through that stress. So we'll see. Yields.
I just kind of sat chilling for that 90 minutes. I did have questions for him, but I guess we can do that on the next time he comes on.
Yeah. Why not, eh? That's what he doesn't get.
And there were some comments that were fucking making me laugh.
Yeah, like
Mason got me a few times when I actually started laughing. Like,
oh, you started a few of them.
I started a couple there because I went to ask questions and then his kids started shouting.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I wanted to ask Tyler something.
Oh, hello. Oh yeah. I think he kind of talked about that a little bit. Yeah, all good. Or how was your weekend?
Yeah, I was just about to ask you that. My weekend was good. I've just come to the end of a testing week, which I'm pretty glad about. There was 7 workouts, 7 days of training this week, and I did 5 of them. There was no, I did the monostructural piece on the other 2 days, but I didn't do the full day's training.
Right.
It was just too much, yeah. You've seen some of it. It was.
Yeah, that's more than I do like in a month. It's obviously, you know, come August, I'll be up in the volume a little bit. But yeah, I've had a similar kind of week. I did triples. I tested SBD for triples this week. So Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. Fuck me, I'm smashed this week. Like my endocrine system must be like worse than Grant's was about a year ago. Like I'm just absolutely annihilated. Like I haven't really trained other than that all week. Just feel destroyed. So I'm looking forward to getting back tomorrow and getting back to regular programming and just enjoying it.
I did heavy sets of 2 on SBD and then applied strength. You took 60% of it and did an arm wrap. So today was the first time I've deadlifted off the floor in about, recently in about 2 years.
Wow. Cool.
I stopped at 170 because I was like, nah, I'm just leave it there.
Yeah. Feel the risk. The risk reward ratio is slightly going one way. Get on TRT.
Same with back squats. I haven't back squat in about 2 years. I just belt squat.
Yeah, but again, like Dave said, you're getting the benefits of it. It's just like the only thing, like I find it really hard. I've got that 2 brain thing, you know, the cognitive dissonance. On the one hand, I truly believe in people doing power CrossFit and the methodology, and on the other hand, I know that everything that Dave just said made sense, and I know that we agreed with him on a fucking lot of it, pretty much all of it.
I agreed with him with like pretty much everything, to be fair, because that's how I train my clients. I don't train an affiliate. I get them doing some form of compound, and it doesn't even have to be with a barbell, but it's a multi-joint movement at the start of each session. We do some bodybuilding, and then we finish with some form of conditioning, or we don't have conditioning in, and they have that on like separate days. Do you know what I mean? Adrenal fatigue.
Yeah. It's doing the rounds, isn't it?
That's a myth.
Yeah. So yeah, what's going on? He really got Cammy to train right at the right time.
And I knew Mason would enjoy him.
What we lift? We lift. Oh, what do we?
I didn't expect you to get Carl on so soon when I suggested him. And you're like, yeah. And then I literally went on today and seen him up. I was like, oh, that's fucking class. Because I was speaking to him yesterday.
Yeah. No, I messaged him yesterday afternoon, and I just sort of gave him a sort of a little nudge and said, "Hey, Carl." And
I love the pendulum squat. I hate it, but I love it.
Is that when you put on pendulum music and just squat?
Have you ever been on a pendulum squat before? They're fucking horrible. It comes down in the arc.
Is that the one where there's a funny video of a guy who looks like he's shagging?
I don't know if I've seen that or not. It looks like this.
There's ones where you see guys like in the gym just like practicing like having sex using kit. And there's one where there's this like rail coming down, and there's a guy sort of sat on the bottom of it, just humping.
So this is the one. This is the one we actually have in the gym.
That's not the one.
So you're there.
No,
I've never grand for that. Fucking hell.
That's probably why I've never used one. Is it a relatively new bit of kit in terms of like
no,
to the industry?
No. This is like proper, like, I wouldn't say old school, but they've been around for a long time.
I've never seen one.
Hack squat's a little bit different, but
yeah,
we've got a really good hack squat as well.
Yeah. How is that different from a hacky sacky?
It's just your leverage. It's like the moment arm of like. I'm gonna get fucking nerd out here on fucking like exercise, but it's the moment arm. So like where like the axial resistance is. So like hack squat. There we go. Let's get a hack squat. We've got a good hack squat in the gym as well. And then we've got a V squat as well. Have you ever seen a V squat? We've got literally any piece of leg equipment. The gym that I'm in's got. I
don't know. I've been in and around gyms my whole life, but I never really learnt the names of all the kits, like the bits and pieces. But yeah, interesting. So yeah, I did my triples this week. I did. I hit 180.
140 bench. Did you?
Yeah. No, I hit 130, but I did 5 sets of 130 triple. So I did the 130 the first set, and I was like, do you know what? I'm not really going to go too much heavier than this, and I thought I'll just do sets at this. So I did triples at 130, and I made sure the first rep was a dead stop each time. So rather than just sort of bumping and driving, because I got those 2 comps later in the year.
What did you squat?
Squatted 185.
Nice.
Which it's all right. I mean, I could, I hit 210 for a single in March on my birthday, so it's probably roughly about right. I could probably gone a bit heavier on a better day, but so yeah. And then the deadlift, I did a 200. I haven't deadlifted heavy for a little while, but I think you get a lot of the benefit from. I do a lot of RDLs, a lot of good mornings, a lot of back squatting, so that engagement is still there, and my form's pretty good on deadlift, always has been. So I don't really need to hit it too much, but
that's it. I didn't think I lost any strength on deadlift. I was just like, nah, I'm just not going to push it past that. I do a lot of RDLs. I actually do a lot of RDLs on the belt squat.
Yeah,
I stick a V handle on that, and do RDLs on the belt squat.
Good.
I like it.
Yeah.
So when do you start your high rocks training? The 1st of August. Are you still holding out till the 1st of August?
Yeah. Oh mate, I got the Adidas shoes. I got the shoes.
Man. Have you trained in them yet?
No, I went for a big, I say a big walk, a couple of kilometers along the prom today. They're amazing. They're so light. Are they comfy to walk in? Yeah, really comfy. really comfy. And they were the tongue to look at. The tongue looks like it's not going to do much. Because you know the old specials, the tongue's really like thin, bit of leather, but it's padded, so it looks similar, but it's a little bit of padding there, and it's so fucking comfortable. I'd thoroughly recommend them.
I was actually looking at the running shoes today after you.
Oh yeah.
They do look
they're
really
the ones.
nice.
Yeah, they're the ones I got.
I've literally got a pair like that, like right here, but they're not the weightlifting shoe.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly.
That's
Oh mate,
that's like my. I'll put them on if I'm like wearing like a pair of fucking trousers or something. And
they're smart shoes.
I'm not dress shoes. I'm just like, I'll just throw them on. So I look semi smart, and I'm not wearing shorts and t-shirt.
So I wore them with black shorts. I went to that science thing yesterday.
It's a fashion show now, by the way.
Yeah, we moved on, and I didn't even fucking think about it. I wore that black Adidas corn shirt. So I had black and white Adidas shirt, black shorts, and I had them on. I look nice. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I want these.
Yeah, they're nice. One of the girls at the gym's actually got a pair of them. Are they so there's two. One of the girls had
that's like an everyday runner, but then you've got the Evo Pro, which are like 200 odd quid. They're the
sole looks different.
Plated ones. Yeah, so they're going to be the ones that are carbon plated. These ones, where are they? Is it the Evo Pro or something like that? They're called.
They've got that weird bobbly bit at the back, like a.
These. They're the there's some there. Look, the Pro 4s, those ones.
I need to see the bottom, from the side, like the heel.
I hate how they don't just have it like them.
No, they've got like that is them. Yeah. The heel looks like that. It looks weird. They're like clogs, but yeah, those ones. So they look really thin though at the front.
Well, that's the carbon plated shoe. So that's like the proper fucking speed shoe.
Fuck it, 220 quid.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck off. Nano 2s.
You can't wear Nano 2s. Like I wear the.
I genuinely think I could do a High Rocks in Nano 2s.
That's the ones I wore for the last High Rocks.
What, those Adidas ones?
No, these ones here. But this, I'm not even sharing that, am I? Oh yeah, yeah. These Sauconys is what I wore.
Is that how you pronounce that? How do you pronounce it?
I say Saucony.
That sounds about right. I call it Saucony, but I'm not in running circles, so yeah. Okay, Saucony.
There you go. I think Mason wears Saucony as well. He's got the
Saucony.
Oh, there we go. Saucony, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
CrossFat knows everything. So
yeah.
CrossFat.
I'm pretty sure Mason wears the Speed Freeze. I've got a pair of Speed Freeze as well. They're fucking great. Saucony. There we go.
Sauconys.
Runners are expensive, but there's a shop here, right? They're £230. There's a outlet in my town that's selling for 130.
Really? Where do they get those from? Alibaba?
No, you know what? It's just because when you get them on the actual website, they just fucking up price fucking everything.
Good. So here's, I got two pairs of the same shoe from Alibaba. One of them came through, and they're official Hokers. They were like really good.
If people know what Alibaba is in the UK.
Oh, like Temu, but better. But so I ordered a pair of Hokers, and they were great. The black ones, the Clifton 9s, I think they were.
I know a local lassie. She put up like a link because she bought a pair off like Alibaba to see what the quality was, because she had the legit ones, and she says like, oh, they're exactly the same.
Yeah, the fake Amazon. Now I bought these about fucking 4 or 5 months ago. Right, they're knockoff ones, and they're so comfy. They were 20 quid. They're £20, and they're like clouds, and you just walk around in the house on them. I use them as slippers.
Yeah, a Clifton 9 is like, that's like a decent starter shoe for someone
All
that's
right.
just getting into running.
Oh, there you go. Well, that's me then. Never run a day in my life.
Neutral. You've got some stability there.
Yeah. Oh, good. Are they better than Nano 2s?
Anything's gonna be better than a Nano 2 for running.
Mason, do you think Nano 2s for a Hyrox is a good idea? Brand new ones.
Mason's a fan of the Nano 2,
Yeah,
and he's also done a Hyrox, and he's going to tell you not to wear Nano 2s for the Hyrox.
Damn it. The phone line's on, by the way, if anyone wants to fucking ring.
I'm really looking forward to, I'll do the banner. I'm really looking forward to, there we go, that one. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what the sled turf is going to be like when we do it.
Oh yeah, that'll be ironed out by then. Would have thought. Have they figured that out yet? Is it just that some of the track isn't as worn as the other parts, or what is it?
They tried to say it was the sleds, the friction on the sleds. They were older, so it was causing more friction on the carpet. But there's no way it was that. No way. It just wouldn't be consistent.
Right. Question. I didn't think about me. Question. The rack, the plate pole on the sled.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't they cut it down a bit?
It's nuts.
Why is it? Why is it that tall?
See the guy chin himself.
Yeah, multiple times. But why don't they cut it?
It's fucking nuts. It's new. They never used to be. They never used to be as.
All right, Mason. Thanks.
As wide the sleds either, but then they took over that. They got taken over by that center, which is Chris Helmsworth, like equipment company. For
what Hyrox did.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh.
So he's like, his company is the official like sponsor of it now. So all the equipment like changed. So I bought one of the center ropes because I was just using like a random gym rope to pull a sled, and then I went to Berlin when they first rocked them out, and you wouldn't think a fucking rope would be any different. It was, yeah.
Mm.
It had like way more. It had more give. It was fucking 10 times longer. It was honestly, it was a pain in the fucking arse. So I was like, I'm going to buy one to get used to using this.
Fair enough.
And then I use it for clients. Everything's a business expense.
Oh yes. So Katie and I booked our ferry for Rogue, for Hyrox and for the Rogue, and we booked a hotel for Rogue in Birmingham. Really good. For Hyrox, sorry.
I should look at fucking accommodation for Rogue, but do we fucking do that? And we might not even get fucking passes.
Well, I'm pinning a lot. I might just go. I'm pinning a lot on being able to go. So I mean, I can change it.
We should phone Saban right now on the show.
Yeah, I
could to confirm.
Excuse me. Can you get me? To be fair to them, they did say you'd know by August, and it's like, well, the thing is, sir or madam, dear Katie, thing is, we're having to organise whether or not we go as spectators or not. So we need to figure that out. What was I going to say? I would pay good money to see Grant in Lycra on a bike. I think he'd look like a potato.
I would
in a helmet.
Rather not see him on a bike.
No, okay.
Oh, Grant, we were speaking about you yesterday. If you're still here, that is. I was telling Jake, was it yesterday or was it this morning that I was telling you that I'd like to spend a week with Grant?
Yeah,
like
today.
I don't know if you had wife. You would have like wife swap USA, but I wouldn't want to swap places. Well, I would want to swap places. I'd like to swap places with Grant's wife and live with him for a week.
Yeah, that would
be like.
That would be.
And it would be documented.
What the first thing you'd want to do?
As both going. So it's both of us. So it's both of us in Grant's house with Grant. He just has to live his life just as he would, and we just tag along.
Can you imagine me and you doing that?
I think I would have a great time. I think you would be pretty stressed.
Oh, it'd be hell. If my alarm would go off in the morning, I'd wake up. Where's Grant? He's in bed still. He's going to be late, yeah, but he likes to get up a minute before we leave. Then he'll come out, toothbrush in his hand, eating with a bagel the other end, and then clothes around his ankles. Oh yeah, for sure. He rubs lotion in his head, and then an idiot abroad. Bloody hell!
Did you see my comment today on the base show when you asked the lassie Tati what her favourite point in history was? Like, history study, and I asked if it was Anderson Shelters.
Yeah, I know. I saw the comment, and then she started saying about Vikings, and then I started talking about Vikings. Anderson Shelters. I did think, that was funny. I did think of Carly P. Pilcoids.
I was like, and is it Anderson Shelters? It'd be amazing.
Fucking Anderson Shelters. She was a really lovely girl. And do you know what? Do you know what? Her dad rang me after the show.
I thought he was fucking brilliant.
He is. He's a good laugh. He's a cattle farmer, and they own like that bit. Yeah. And he they've got like an Airbnb thing that they let out.
You were saying that, yeah.
And he's he said whenever you guys, if you want to come over and stay, and you're more than welcome to come and train in the gym. And
where are they based? Because I missed the start.
Retford, so in Nottinghamshire. And it's hang on a minute. Let me put it up for our.
It'd be cool to go out there, Jake, when she's next doing the Open or something. Stay in the Airbnb.
Yields. Very cool.
She qualified for the teen games this year, but she's too young to go.
Yeah, too young to go. So she's just turned 13. Oh no, she said she's 13 and a half.
Yeah, she's very nice. That's important, because then I said I was 476 months old.
Oh yeah, that was it. Yeah, getting real specific. So that's UK, Retford. Here we go. So you got Leeds, Manchester, Sheffield. Nottingham's here. It's between, so it's a bit, bit east of Sheffield. But what I'm thinking, Johnny boy, is we are going to be here on Thursday night. Sorry, on Wednesday and Thursday for not this week, on September end of October. October the 23rd. And then what Katie and I are doing, because it's our 10-year anniversary, we are planning on zoom back out. We are planning on doing a little cheeky holiday and working our way up through here, visiting a couple of cities, coming up to Newcastle, and stopping off one night at a time and ending up
in Aberdeen.
Yes, up here.
Are you going to come to the Highlands at all?
I think so. Come in the Highlands. I want to take the kids. They love walking. They love like going up and down shit. So we'll do that. Would be cool to go there. Yeah, I'm thinking we work our way up from Birmingham over the course of a week. We take a week and work up through Retford, York, Newcastle, Edinburgh, maybe Glasgow for a night, and then work back up to Aberdeen. And we get there the week after. So we do a week of traveling up the countries. And then on the Monday, come back down to Lancaster, Heysham, and then we get the ferry back to here.
Oh, he's fucking private, motherfucker.
Who?
Paul.
Paul the party animal Parker.
No, because I was just thinking, just when you said Newcastle, it popped into my head, because I was like, oh fuck, I've got a guest for the base show. He would be good on here as well, but I think he's more suited to the base. But do you remember Warrior Programming?
Warrior Programming rings a bell. I don't know. No, not off the top of my head.
Nah. Well, Paul then runs. It's called On the Program now, like our campfire training is what he calls it. But and then he's got CrossFit Newcastle, and he's got like campfire gym, I'm pretty sure.
All right.
But he's oh fuck's sake. It's because I'm signed out of the fucking outside box one. But this dude here.
All right.
Do you know have you ever heard of Built Up North?
Yeah. Is that his?
That's his, yeah.
Ah, okay. Got it.
That's Paul there. Look, why people love High Rocks with Paul Warrior.
Okay. A week. Are you right?
He would be cool to
Yeah.
speak
He's got a great beard as well.
This dude. He always sends people to like French throwdown and stuff.
He looks like a competent Grant. A week. Are you right? No, Clock. If you were listening, what I said was we're gonna stop off. Hang on. We're gonna stop off. It will take us a week, and we'll go to. You see, over where we are, we have a lot of places to visit, a lot of tourist attractions, a lot of old cities. The city of York, for example, a strong Viking hold they took
Got
over.
a friend that lives in York.
Was he a grand old duke?
Nah, he's an insurance guy.
All right, fair enough. A bit different. There you go.
Actually, go down, go like zoom into York. I'll tell you exactly where he lives. Not exactly like
exactly.
Where he lives,
show us his house.
But like it's a little town near York.
Bird of Prey Centre.
Yeah.
Should we find the
That's the part
barometer world? Why don't we try? I'm going to find barometer world. Here we go, Yanni. Hang on. Here we go. Trish, this is for you.
He knows a Kraken Owl Sanctuary as well.
Barometer, yeah. Barometer world. We've got a world of barometers.
I don't know if Trish is a Partridge fan. I know Trish is a Office fan. Well, not necessarily an Office, but it was an owl sanctuary he went to.
Oh, look, it's the picture. Have you seen that?
Ooh. I have.
Yeah. Right, the picture.
Barometer there.
Yeah. There you go.
Why are 15 people still watching this?
I don't know. It's terrible. What an awful show.
Dave was good.
Dave was great. As soon as he ended up leaving, it was bad.
I asked the chappie I knew that was on Love Island if he fancied coming on the show. He says he would love to come on, but he'd prefer not to talk about Love Island. And I said,
that's fine.
I was like, I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind. Don't mind. Do you know what? I haven't watched this series.
Oh. Because I said, oh, Jake's a big Love Island fan. I says he would love to chat to you about that, and he was like, he says, I love chatting training and stuff. He says, but I'd prefer not to talk about.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind about Love Island. I'm not that bothered.
What's God saying? 2 seconds. Hello.
Right. Is she ringing?
Hello. Yo.
Oh, she tried ringing. She's on the phone to you.
I think she's trying to phone the hotline, Jake.
Oh, hang on. Please hold the line while we try to connect you. Let me turn that one off. Hey. Why didn't that go through? That's very... The verse strange. Right, Miss Glinton. Glinton. President Glinton. Bill Glinton. To my weekly shop. Keep talking. I need entertainment. Jim Jones. He did a song with T-Pain. If she ever gets off the phone to Yon now, she'll be able to call through. Okay, bye. There you go. Right, we'll see if this works. It's connected.
Got it. Trying to call in 2 seconds.
Yeah. I know. We've been talking about it. Right, I'm not.
Garrett Clinton, WhatsApp audio.
Hang on.
There we go.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's on fucking WhatsApp, and it won't be going through the speaker. Hang on. Accept. Hello, Garrett.
It's because it's not there.
Hello. How are you?
Good. Oh, now you sound good.
Do I? Oh, thanks. Because I was on a different speaker. I sorted it out. I figured out Roadcaster with WhatsApp.
I can hear Jan too.
It's because I'm here.
Yes, there he is.
Here we
nice.
go.
Okay.
Here we go. So
you got it.
How are you, Garrett? How are you?
Oh, I'm really good. You know, summer in the Hamptons, so much fun with all the rich people. It's a great time.
Fantastic. Is
I
that
want.
what is the Hamptons? Can you explain to us British peasants what the Hamptons are,
Be like,
please?
Don't you guys have Southampton? You have a Southampton in England, right?
We do, and we have a Hampton Court.
Yeah, but it's not nice.
Right. Yeah.
But it's it's not. I don't think it's the same thing.
Yeah, no, celebrities are here at this point, and they're going to be here for the next 3 months that us peasants have to serve. So that'll be fun.
So you on holiday, or is that where you live?
Maybe it's like
No, that's where I live.
You live in the Hamptons. So the Hamptons. Explain the setting. Can you explain the views that you
Kind of
have?
said
So the Hamptons are a beautiful beach setting.
Okay.
Where it's just beaches everywhere and big $1 million houses everywhere.
Wow.
And people who live here year round, we serve the people that have the $1 million houses and the beach settings.
Wow.
Quite right.
That does sound lovely.
Quite right.
So does because you operate in the deli, don't you?
Yeah.
So does that boost the economy? Do you get really busy around this time of the year, Garrett?
Oh, don't bring that up yet.
Oh.
Did you see that?
And the
Garrett?
fact that I did see it. Do I answer it responsibly, or do I talk about every time you said titillating on the show this go around?
How many times did I say it? I think I might have said it
so many times. So many times.
I'm glad you picked up on that. It is the economy. So by the sounds of it, it's similar to what we have with the bike races over on the Isle of Man. Like we have a massive tourism boost for 3 weeks of the year around the bike races, and it brings in hundreds of millions of pounds, and that kind of does support somewhat the economy for the rest of the year. Is that similar?
Oh yeah, we need it.
Yeah.
The 3 months that they're all here doing their thing, and yeah, we need it to be able to get through the winter for sure.
And do most of them own properties in the Hamptons, don't they, that can?
Yeah, and don't have kids in schools.
Yeah. That's where like Scott Disick's from, isn't it? That's my knowledge of the Hamptons.
Scott who?
No, that's where he hangs out. But yeah, he did a lot of his partying out here. A couple clubs around here, and had his babies out here. Yeah. Yep.
Scott Disick married a Kardashian, Jake.
Oh, right. One of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what they are. I'm still confused. I'm still confused by all that. It's been 15 years and I still don't know what, but it's fine. It's fine. All I know is they ruined Kanye.
He did a right job of that himself. Although I still love him.
Have you seen the Rogan bit when he's talking about the Kardashians and
Oh God, no. No. Oh.
That podcast
Kanye needs to stop.
Yeah, he released a single
Kanye,
yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before? He released another single. I haven't listened to it.
Yeah,
I'm afraid.
What?
Yeah, he's all over the news right now.
Okay, that's not good.
He's never in the news here.
No, which is probably good.
Yeah, he's everywhere.
Oh, right. Yeah, I saw a song.
Okay, I just wanted to I'm out. I just wanted to test your phone line.
Oh, thank you.
Kanye's killing me, but I want people to be able to call you guys if they want to call you guys. So I just want to make sure your phone line works.
Oh, thank you.
We had Joe Ellis
much.
call the other night.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you did. Dude, she's amazing. I talked to her offline. I'm going to do a whole segment with her, but there's a lot of things I want to talk about that I didn't even think about when I was voting. So
you know what? I want to do a set. I want to get her on here and we can pull up photos of people that are transitioning and we do hog or not.
Yeah. Oh, she's fun like that. She'll do it.
Like, do they still have hog or not?
Yeah.
Most of them do, dude.
Oh, right,
Is that true?
They do.
Is that true?
Do they?
Yeah.
What's the ratio?
Yeah. A lot to a little.
Is it?
A 9-inch penis to a 2-inch penis. Like
That's
there's
a big
there's a
drop.
lot of
That's a big
yeah.
drop. And funny enough,
only-
not that I go looking for it, but whenever I see that, they're always packing.
Tranny part?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. And I always think to myself, that's probably why they haven't had it cut off yet.
it's like, do I really want to get rid of this?
Yeah, I was blessed. This is a hammer. Like, why? Why am I?
Does that mean, right? See if you've got like a 9-inch and then you transition fully, does that mean you've got a really deep vagina?
That's a good point. Very good point. Because don't they invert it?
Yeah, I don't think it works. I don't think it works that way because when girls get penises,
Yeah.
they are like 2 inches.
Really?
Yeah, they can't get 9-inch hammers. That doesn't work.
Ah. Okay. So it's not reflective.
What would be the fucking point in that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That'd be
All
disappointing,
right.
wouldn't it?
Anyway,
Yeah, on that note.
that would be.
Okay.
Yep, very fun. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Right.
Bye.
So I brought up a photo there because I was round at my in-laws for Sunday lunch today, and my mother-in-law has got a printer in her house, and Adam was using his iPad to print off drawings that he was doing, and they didn't understand how he was doing it. And I was like, oh, it's easy. You can just do this. And then I went into my phone, and like the first few things in my photo album was just videos. So then I was just scrolling along, sitting at the dinner table to find a photo to basically show them how to just like, you know, you can send a photo, but you hit on more. And then one of the options is print. And then it would find Donna's printer via Bluetooth. And then I could do it. And then I pulled up this photo to show her granny that was asking me how to do it. And this was like the photo that I pulled up, right? So this photo. And I didn't think anything of it. I was saying, right, so you pull, like, and I was showing her, like, talking her through, and she looked at Haley, like, and then looked back at my phone twice, and then Haley kind of looked over and seen what I was doing, and Haley was like, Jonathan, you know, and then I was like, what? And she's like, I take that down. So I took it off because everyone was watching me doing it. Brilliant. And I was like, oh, I'm just showing her. It's not like I've bought it. I was looking for, the reason I had it on my phone, I was looking for a side sleeping pillow. I like to sleep on my side, but my shoulders agony in the morning because I'm like sleeping like that, my hand under the pillow. So I was looking for a side sleeping pillow, but all TikTok would show me was basically just shagging pillows.
Mate.
Well, ergonomic couple friendly pillows is what it said. It had loads of different uses. I've seen people lying frontwards on it with their arms around it, playing Xbox, all sorts of stuff. But it's a shagging pillow.
Alibaba fucking put in pillow in there.
Aye, and it's just for shagging.
Yeah, basically.
And then all TikTok shop is like 40-year-old men selling massagers, but it's just fanny bashers.
Fanny bashers. Liver ticklers.
That's what it is like.
He's in. Good.
Yeah, Heidi, you're late. It's fucking 2 hours and 12 minutes we've been going for. Happy belated birthday again, Heidi Kroom, 40 years of age.
Oh. Yeah, Heidi, how old did she turn?
40.
40?
Yeah, that's what I believe, yeah.
Oh. Didn't realise she was 40. Just like a day over 34.
I think it was actually 34.
Okay. That's right.
Oh, what's this comment? Rogan and Liver King fight yet? Are they meant to be fighting?
Fight?
Rogan would fucking demolish him.
Yeah, I would have thought so. Oh.
That's a good look. Turn Bruce Gay, ruin Kanye, Lamar Odom, James Harden. Yeah, fucking hell, yeah.
Yep.
Did Lamar Odom not turn into like a drug addict? I don't know.
I don't know. Heidi, what did you do with your birthday other than go fucking walking? What's time? Fucking 9:15. Jesus. When you Hang on.
I can draw. Oh, I need to get a whiteboard here. I can draw a really cool. It's like a high school level like drawing of that looks like Cyril Sneer kind of. Oh, is it going to be a parrot?
It's just whatever I want it to be. I could turn it into parrot. Just go. There you go. Get rid of that.
I can draw a really cool high school like level drawing of someone getting a blowjob.
Good. Let's do it. Look, I can draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it 5? Draw an old woman. Hang on. If I go there, 1, 2, 3, 4. No.
This is kind of similar how I do. I start with a penis, though. I'm going to answer your question, by the way, Siva.
Just start with a penis.
I start
down or up.
Start this side because you're going to draw the bell end, and then you draw the lips over it, and then you go to the chin, and then you go from there. It's yeah. Well, that's
and then a nose. Hang on.
It looks like Bart Simpson.
This is going really well.
While Jake's doing that, yeah, I do have. See, I don't think I'll ever get rid of some of it, and it's all in the lower. It's all in the lower abdomen. I don't have any on my arms, any on my legs. It's all lower abdomen. But that's what I get for being over 350 pounds and then dieting. Well, I lost 150 pounds at one point. It's like, is that me? My nose isn't that bad. I've got a pointy nose.
Yeah.
That's Grant. Put a hat on it.
Oh yeah.
A backwards hat.
Yeah.
Grant will have to go and see his pasture after this. It'll also be PK. RIP.
Good. There you go. Right. Good. Do you want to finish on that?
That's a really good photo.
Good. We'll keep that up, shall we?
Clip it.
Clip it. Yeah. Tony Hart. Who is it? Who is your Bob Rush? Was that Bob Rush?
Bob Ross.
Bob Ross. That's the one.
Yeah, he's on Netflix still. I used to stay off school and just watch that.
Just watch Bob Ross.
I sometimes would leave to go to school, and then when I knew no one would be at home, I'd come back home and I would watch Bob Ross. I'd watch Murder, She Wrote, Diagnosis Murder, Mank. And then in the afternoon, Neighbours would come on, Home and Away, Doctors.
Yep.
And then I would leave the house because my dad would be getting home from work, and then I would come home at like 4 o'clock as if I'd been to school that day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And if any letters came to the house for my parents, I would just sign them and send them back to school. Mank was amazing, but Diagnosis Murder was my favorite. Yeah, Jake did say our Grant instead of our friend. What do you mean was? I've never said I'm not. Now it looks like he's got a croissant in his hand.
Exactly. That's what it was. What did you think it was?
That's Grant eating a loaf.
Good. Right. All right. Well, thanks for joining us for 2 hours and 18 minutes of pure education. I hope it was a good Sunday for you. You want anything you want to sort of say before we go?
Nah, I need to go back to work now. That was a nice little 2.5 hour break for me.
Good. Well,
cool. See you later, Benders.